Do you want to see what's in the box? Stay tuned. I'm John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and we just got a box in from McMillan, and I figured you guys would want to see what is inside. McMillan contacted us not too long ago and asked us if we would like to take a look at one of their brand new stocks. And you get a box within a box. And this has got me pretty excited. Now, I've used McMillan stocks for a fairly long time. My first contact with McMillan stocks was actually in the form of the M40A1 sniper rifle issued to me by the Marine Corps, and that had a McMillan HTG stock on it. Well, from that point forward, I have pretty much gotten a smile on my face anytime I have shot a McMillan stock. Now, my M40A1 clone has a original McMillan HTG that started life on a M40A1 sniper rifle. Since then, we have done some work with the A35, and now this is a brand new design from McMillan. This is the McMillan A6. Get it out of the bag here. Now, the A6, as I said, is brand new, but it carries over some of the design cues from the A35 and from the A5 and some of the previous stocks. Mainly the pistol grip area is very similar to the A5. The buttstock area also is very similar to the A5. It feels like it is a little bit more squared off, but I don't have an A5 here to really be able to sit them side by side. Comparing it to the A35 wouldn't really give me a true accurate representation because there are some other different cues on the A35. The main portion that is really different between the A5 and the A6 is the forend up here. Now, the A5 forend was kind of a rounded beaver tail type design. Well, the A6 is really a more squared off design. You've got almost parallel sides here, so there's no real taper from this point of the forend to this point of the forend. The sides are almost vertical, so if you have to slap this against the side of a barricade or something, it feels like it's going to track fairly well. The edges here, the corners, are chamfered instead of giving you a real nice radius. They're just kind of smoothed off. And you get the same thing on the bottom here. The bottom is flat, but you do have a taper, if you notice here. So we're thicker back here at the lug than we are here at the tip. And you do get that slow taper into it. Now, we asked them to install a rail, but you can, of course, get this done any way you want. You can have flush cups put on here, or you can have sling studs put on if you want. 2 sling studs is usually most common, but I wanted to be able to run rail-equipped bipods on here. So we did have them go with the rail. But the back portion here is nice and flat, so should ride a bag, should ride a barricade just fine. We did have them go ahead and inlet it for M5 bottom metal, and the inlet that we have here is a standard Remington 700 with the M40A1 contour barrel channel, so it is the thick barrel channel. I like that contour because it allows me to run quite a few different barrel types in here without having to go through and hog the stock back out. It may give me a little bit more of the, a little bit more free float, a little bit more gap than some people like, but the gap doesn't bother me. The gap doesn't affect accuracy. If you have trash stuck in there that you can't get out in the field without taking your action out of the stock, that can affect accuracy. So I really prefer a greater free float where I can knock stuff out, blow stuff out, whatever, and not affect that. The camo pattern that we have on here is the new Sonoran Ambush camo pattern. It is very attractive. It is a molded in finish, so this is actually in the gel coat, so if you scratch it or scrape it, you're not scraping the pattern off unless you get really deep in there and take the gel coat off. We did go with the Sniper fill on this, so it is not their heaviest fill, but it does give a little bit of weight to the stock, and for me that gives me a little bit more weight back here to offset maybe a heavier barrel, heavier scope, that kind of thing. And I think the stock balances out a little bit better with the Sniper fill than if we go with a really lightweight fill. You can go all the way up to their carbon shells and get a really lightweight stock, but this is my preference. And that's one of the beautiful things about McMillan stocks, is you can have them build the stock to your preference. Now, we talked about the fore end. We come back here to the pistol grip. As I said, this is standard, really very similar to the A5 pistol grip as far as the vertical orientation of the pistol grip. You do have minimal palm swell here. Now, there is no texturing on the pistol grip on the A6. My A35 has a texturing in the gel coat that gives you a little bit more grip. Not a huge issue on a precision rifle stock like this. Your hand's not going to be sliding around on it a whole lot. I may end up putting a piece of grip tape here or there wherever I feel that I actually need it when I start using the stock, but we'll see. There are umpteen jillion ways to add a very aggressive grip to a fiberglass stock should you decide to do that later on. I really do like the angle on the pistol grip on these stocks. It really does place my hand in an orientation where I can get that straight back pull on the trigger. And I like the drop from the tang here because that does allow you to float your thumb up on the tang very well. Now we come back to the buttstock, and we do have a hook back here for your support side hand to get it on a bag. And we do have a flat spot here at the back with a slight angle to it to ride the bag. And that works really well for me. I like this design. This is probably my preferred buttstock design, whether you're talking about chassis or you're talking about fiberglass stocks. I really like this kind of hook, and I like it either here or even sometimes a little bit further forward. I don't like them when they put the hook way at the back because that's stuffing that bag way back into my shoulder, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to get to when I'm shooting a prone position or across the hood of a car or something like that. So I like it a little bit further forward there. We do have flush cups on the sides here. You can also get them on the bottom. One of the previous stocks we have has it on the bottom. I don't see a lot of reason for that. Usually I like to run a bag underneath back here, so having a flush cup down here is just added detail that isn't needed. I do have them on both sides. That way I can run the sling on whichever side I need. If I'm shooting a slung support side stage, then I can just switch the sling over instead of having it wrapping underneath the rifle and wanting to try to flip the rifle over. We did go with McMillan's clamp bar cheek piece system. So we do have one thumb wheel here. The cheek piece comes off, and it is adjustable for cant side to side, or not cant, offset side to side. So you can slide this cheek piece to one side or the other if you need to get your eye straight behind it. Of course, the disadvantage there is if you go to shoot to support side, you've now offset it. So I'll usually run it straight up in the center. But it's nice that they did build that in so you can change it to however you want the rifle. Now the clamp bar setup in here is really nice. It's a really secure mounting system. I haven't had any problems with it before. And an added benefit is you can pop this right out if you need to clean the rifle. So you don't have to have a folding stock. You can just pull the comb off and you can get your cleaning rod through. One added benefit to this is, and it's not on here yet, but I will put some on here shortly, is I will usually throw a couple of O-rings on these posts, and once I get the action in and I get the rifle set up and I get the cheek piece to where I want, I'll mark it, I'll pull it off, I'll roll the O-rings down to that point, and so that way when I remove the cheek piece to clean, when I go drop the cheek piece back in, the O-rings will stop it where it needs to be, and then I can clamp it down. The O-rings don't really prevent it from going up or down, so as I push it down, it'll roll those O-rings up the shafts of the cheek piece. So they don't prevent something, but they will hold the cheek piece against its own weight, so you can just set it in there and it will stop where you want it to stop and tighten it down. So it's just used as a marker. Really quick tip, one of the reasons I like these post kind of clamp bar cheek pieces. We've seen on the A35, the thumb wheel down here is low enough down that shooting support side for most people, it's not going to be an issue. It's not going to get in the way or bite you. Now, when we come back to the back here, we do have a spacer system, and again, you can configure these however you want, but I did request the spacer system because it allows me to get this dialed in perfectly for my length of pull. But if I switch this up and I go set this rifle up for another shooter, I can throw spacers back in here and set it up for their length of pull. I did just go with their standard recoil pad. I believe it's a Pacmar decelerator. I could probably look at the sticker on the side of here and tell you specifically, but I'm not going to take the time to read through all of it. But it is a really nice recoil absorbing pad, so it doesn't really matter what we put in this rifle. This is set up for short action 700. I will probably drop my 308 test action in it to run it and see how we feel about the new forend on the A6. But if it ends up being a standard piece on that rifle, the heavy recoil pad isn't really a big deal for a 308. I've shot steel butt-plated 308s and 30-06s. But if you go up into some harder kicking calibers, you decide to build up a 300 Norma with one of these in a long action Magnum configuration, then the nice Pacmar recoil pad may come in handy at that point. Overall, as I said, the stock has a really good feel to it. It has a really solid feel, as all McMillan stocks do. And as you can tell, I'm a little bit of a fan of McMillan stocks. Maybe it's because of the history that I have with using their product, but they really do make a quality product. And I've had some questions before about why I go back and forth between chassis and standard stocks. Well, they both have a different feel to them. In any trade where you work at a high level, your tools have kind of their own characteristics, and stocks and chassis are the same way, especially because I'm putting a bone part of my face against the side of this thing. Then I'll pick up vibrations from the rifle through my face and through my ears and that. And the different chassis and different stocks have a different resonance to them when you fire the rifle. Now, you're wearing ear pros, so you're not really hearing it, but you're picking up the vibrations through your body. And I feel like the fiberglass stocks absorb harmonics a little bit better than some of the aluminum chassis systems that are out there. And so you get more of a dead blow type feel when a bolt rifle fires. There's less extra vibration, less harmonics from the metal and all the other stuff. So it just has a different characteristic that I find pleasing. I find a little bit more relaxing. Now, that's not to say that other fiberglass stocks out there don't have the same thing, but McMillan stocks have a configuration or a construction that's kind of unique to their own. And that's just something that I've found. Now, McMillan did send this stock out to us to take a look at and evaluate and then bring you our opinions of the new A6. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this on a rifle. We'll get out and shoot it. And hopefully after a couple of weeks out shooting, we'll be able to come back and let you know exactly how well the A6 works compared to some of the other McMillan stocks and some of the other systems that we've used in that orientation. If you guys have any questions or comments about the McMillan A6, please leave them in the comments section below or send them to us on Facebook or Twitter. If you like the video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, get out and shoot.